Tired of relying only on pre-made applique designs? Well, stick around because in this tutorial I'm going to teach you step by step how to digitize your own appliques with the EL Digitizer. Now I'm ready to start this design, and even though it's a very simple design, I need to have a game plan because there's certain things that are underneath, like these two legs here, and then I have the body, and then I have the ear. But I need to kind of know how I'm going to sequence things because I'm going to have actually three different appliques. I'm going to do the two legs first, then I'm going to do the entire body, and then I'm going to do the ear. And rather than use the auto applique tools, because there is an auto applique tool within the software, I'm going to actually choose to do it manually. And the reason why is these appliques, except for this last one, are all really open shapes. They don't have closed areas. Now I could do it, but then I'd have to go in and edit it, and it's just sometimes faster to do things manually than to use the automation when it adds extra steps and have to edit afterwards. So I'm going to look at this design. I can see that it is actually, if I go in and I look at the size of the design and I select it, it's 4.5 inches wide by 3 inches high. I have turned down the opacity a little bit so that I can actually see it on screen a little bit dimmed, and that way I can actually see the colors that I'm using. And I also have to let you know that I'm not really that hung up on choosing the exact colors that I'm seeing on the screen. I really almost like to use opposing colors or contrasting colors, and I can always change it to a different color later on because an embroidery machine just sees a stop function. It really doesn't care what colors you're using. Now I'm going to choose my steel stitch, which is a fixed width satin. I'm going to choose the width of the stitch, which I'm going to keep at 2.5 millimeters for now. I might change that later, but I'm going to start at this leg here. The reason why is I'm going to do this leg, then I'm going to run around and do this leg, and then I'm going to come up and do the little tip of this tail while I'm at it. So I'm going to start right over here, and actually I think this from going from here to here is actually a little bit faster. So I'm going to start right from here, and I'm going to do a point, and then I'm going to do with my right clicks, which are curves, I'm going to put these points in, and I am at a 300% scale, so 300% is what I'm using here. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to a run stitch. So I'm going to switch over to a run, which we do have a hotkey for. That is the number 1 on our keyboard. And I'm just going to travel over to this point here, keeping in mind that this is going to be covered up afterwards. So this will be covered later on as it actually does this with a different color of material. So I'm never going to see that little traveling stitch anyways. But now I'm going to come back over to my steel, and I'm going to do this point, and I'll start right here, and then I'll come around and I'll go this way, and I'm going to do this piece right to here. Now if I hit enter and I look at this right now, and let's turn off the 3D, I can see that because it is a steel and it has a center run, what it's done is it is put it right in the middle. So I'm going to move over my properties. I'm going to grab just those two shapes, and I'm going to grab the two shapes, and I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to see that the inset value right now for these, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to go into 100%. So now it's going to be right on the line, and that's what I want to see. I wanted that at 100%, so it's right up to the line that's there. And if I look at the 3D, I can see how it's nice and positioned where I want it. And now I'm going to go back to my run stitch, and I'm going to then travel right through here, and I'm going to travel up to the top, and I'm going to do and finish this little piece up to here. I might as well travel as opposed to trimming, because when you have trims, you always have the possibility of having the thread come out. So now I'm going to switch from my steel to let's say a satin stitch. I'm just going to draw this shape very, very quickly, come to this point across, come back up to the open end, hit enter. It's going to put my stitch direction or inclination, enter, enter, and there is those pieces. So that is pretty much done. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change to a different color, and this is where I'm going to do the outline shape. So I'm going to come in here now, and I'm going to go to 600% just so I'm a little bit more zoomed in so I can see this, because I want these stitches to be pretty exact. And even though these are going to be on top, these are going to be the stitches that show me where to lay my applique. So I'm just going to go about 3/4 of the way out on this, and then I'll come here and go like this on this side. I know this is going to be covered up afterwards, but I'm just going to come right over here, and then I can travel back up the other side just like I did before, and come right over here, and now this is going to hold this right into place, right to about here, come back up on this side, and I'm just going to come right over to here, and that is good. So that is going to show me the object. Now, I am going to take a look at that object, and if I look at it, I can see that it says 0 stitches because it was a satin path. I don't want a satin, I want a run. The beautiful thing about the software is because with the EL Digitizer, I'm actually using artwork and assigning stitches. So even though I accidentally had the wrong stitch type chosen, I saw that because it didn't generate stitches, but I could just very quickly go and change it from one stitch type to another anyway, so it really is irrelevant. Now that that's in place, I'm going to go to my next color, which I'm going to choose, and let's take, that's number 8, I'm going to take number 4, and I'm going to do my tack-down stitch. So with the tack-down stitch, I'm going to go back to a run stitch, and I'm going to put a point in right here. I'm going to do one run right here. Let's just come here, and then I'm going to do a point and hit enter, and then I'm going to go to this object and I'm going to tell it I want to run, but I want to have a double run, so that's going to hold it in place. And then I do want to have a trim to go from here to here, so I'm just going to choose the run again. Let's just get off of that object, and I'm going to then come in and do another run, but the second run is going to be right over here. I got to make sure that my tool is active by hitting the center of the widget, and this run I'm going to put right here so that it's going to hold this into place. And then I'm just going to come right back to here. There's my tack down, and I'm going to go to that tack down now, grab this one, and let's change that into a double run as well. So there is my 2 double runs, and now what I'm going to do is just grab both of those colors, and I'm going to move them up in order to the very beginning. So I move them first. So now I have all of those pieces and they are completely laid out, and I can go back to 3 to 1 so I can see the entire screen. And now I'm going to do the big part of the elephant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm ending right here. So that's going to be the beginning of my next color. So I could choose my classic satin for this. Let's change the color to, again, something that is totally different. Really doesn't matter what it is. I'll move my widget out of the way, and I'm just going to do classic satin, which is point counterpoint. This is the kind of classic digitizing tool that many people are familiar with in most software programs. We have it as well, although I sometimes like to use the other satin method that we have because it seems to be almost faster. So I'm going to start right here with my steel, and I'm going to start with a left and then go to a right for a curve, and I can just pan down, or I can use the shift key to pan sort of quickly. So there's 2 different ways to pan within our software that allows for quicker traveling around objects. And I'm going to go from here to here, which is a straight, and then go back to the curve, go around the foot of this object here, and then come back up to the other side, back to a straight, and then to a curve. Now I'm going to actually hit that pan, and I'm just going to pan over so I can see the entire area that I want to create, save a little bit of time, go straight, curve, 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 and I'm going to curve all the way around here, and I'll curve right into this point right here, and then go straight, 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 and curve all the way around here as well. And then I'm going to come in and finish and overlap a little bit into the other object, which is going to be right to here, and then hit enter, and that generates the object. Now what I'm going to do is select that object, and I'm going to go to that inset again, and I'll just inset it to about 95%. So let's see how that works. There it is. Okay, so there it's actually inset. I left this one a little bit outside this time, and that way I know it's going to grab. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to digitize the same type of thing that I did before. I'm going to do the outline stitch. So again, if I remember correctly, the number 8 was the one that I used for the actual stitch as far as what I wanted to see for an outline. So I'm just going to start right here, and let's go back to a run stitch, and I'm going to put, let's say, right over here. Just so I'm going to move these anyways, but I'll just start here. It really doesn't matter, but I'm going to come about 3/4 of the way out again. So this just shows me where to lay down my applique material. So it doesn't have to be exact, oops, but I do not want it to be outside like that. Come right to here, come around the other side, go back to a straight, go over here, straight, go around this side. And this is going to be only one pass of thread because it's just simply to show me where to lay down my applique fabric for the applique. Let's pan over so we can see the entire thing on screen. And let's just go all the way to here and over to the other side. Come all the way back up to this point, and I'm just going to go all the way and connect almost where I was. Now here I do have a choice, and I think I'm going to do this kind of properly. I'm going to bring this one here, and I am going to travel kind of around the inside of this ear because you never know what applique materials people are going to choose to actually use. And if it is an applique that has, a lot of pile to it, if it is, Serpa fleece or something that has a high pile, you don't want necessarily two pieces of fabric kind of building right on top of each other because that can, generally create sort of a line that looks too thick. So I did actually carve out that shape. Then I'm going to go to number 4, and this is the tack down. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go along the inside. So I'm just going to take this one. Let's just pan around a little bit. I can hit that space bar if I want to pan quicker. Sometimes the auto pan takes a little while, and if I get impatient, digitizing, especially if you're digitizing for commercial uses, you get paid based on your speed. And this software is definitely built for speed. Less clutter, less buttons, and just, good quality stitch results. That was the number one goal when we created this program, was that it was simpler to use and gives you great stitch results when it's finished sewing. So I'm going to come all the way around to this side, keep going over here, and then come around to here. And let's move that out of the way. Actually, I'm going to pan instead, so let's just pan. And now I need to backspace. My widget was in the way there, so I'm just going to come all the way back to here and hit this one and land right on top, hit enter. Same thing here, I'm going to grab that one piece, and what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to make it into a double run because I want to make sure that's held down. And then I'm going to grab this one, and let's just go right over here, and let's just grab that, make it a little smaller so I can see it. Let's make sure it's not selected. I want to make sure that this one is right after this object, so that one's going to go right there, and then this one is going to go right up one more right here. So that way I have them in order so that they're going to sew properly. So let's just grab it, and actually this one is not in order, so let's grab this one and move it down one, just like that. So there we go, that actually looks good. So there we have our first object right here in the first color. This is an outline, a tack down, then it does the first 2 feet, then it does an outline, a tack down, and then it does the tail and the body. And now all we have to do is this little shape here. So now I'm going to use the same color that I did before, and that is going to be a fixed width satin that is going to be 2.5 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I do the same inset. So I'm going to just come right here, and I'm going to make sure that I go right on the line, and then I'm going to inset it to 100% like I did before, and that way it's going to be consistent with all of the other borders. I could use the Applique tool right now at this point because it is a closed shape, but the only problem is that I'll have to inset it, which will kind of change the object. So when I come in here and grab this one now, and I bring that into a 95 or 100%, it's inset that, and it actually looks good. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to number 8 for the next object. Let's just choose our run stitch, and this one I'm just going to put right here, right on top, just like this. And then I will come back with the other one afterwards, and I'll do a double run, and then we'll move the sequence so all of our applique shapes are perfect. Let's go here and here. So there's our first, that is the outline. Then I'm going to go to number 4. I'm going to use the same tool. This one here I'm going to do as my tack down, and I'll make sure that I do this one inside a little bit so that after it actually sews it, I'll cut away the fabric. and then I know it's going to line up, and I want to make sure that one, when I go to grab that last object right here, I'm going to grab it, and I want to make sure that this one is a double run. And then I'm going to grab both of these, and I'm going to take these two, actually not both of those, this one and this one, and I'm going to move them up into the sewing order so that it is going to actually do it right before this right here, so that the orange is going to be last. So there's that one, move this one up, there's that one, and now they're both covered. Now I only have one little color left, which is going to be this object here. And all I'm going to do for this is grab my satin tool, and I'll just grab this satin, and I'll do a little tiny circle here, but I am going to over exaggerate, I guess, the shape a little bit. So I adjust for the push and the pull, hit enter, put an inclination in, hit enter, enter, and that piece is done. So there is our design. It's pretty much finished. And if I do want to just come here and look at these colors and get them a little closer to something that resembles the artwork, this is when I can come in and I can say, okay, I want to have a darker gray for those two, and then I can come here, grab this one, and let's make this one a lighter gray like this, and that way it's going to be a little bit closer to the artwork. But this is going to sew out, and it's going to actually give me a nice stitch out. All of the applique pieces are perfectly in place so that it's going to come in and do the outline, then the two tack downs, that way I can cut them out, then it's going to tack these into place, then it's going to go up here, do that little piece, then it comes in, it does the outline, it does the tack down, goes around 2 times, then it does the finishing stitch right here, and then it's going to do this object right here, and it's going to then finish it around the outside. So I just want to make sure that all those are good. I noticed that I accidentally changed the one color, but I can always go back and let's make this one dark again. Or actually it was the opposite. So let's go here, make that one light. So I'll make that one light, and then I'm going to come here and make the other ones dark. So let's make this one light as well. And now I have to make sure that nothing else is selected. So all of those are off. It would be this one here and the last one that's going to be dark. So let's grab this one and this one, make those two dark, and that way it's back to the original artwork, and this design is done. So when I run this, it should run as 1, 2, 3, 4 different appliques, but the stitch count is 498 stitches, so very low stitch count, but a very cute design. Now that you've seen how simple it is to create an applique design in the EL Digitizer, why stop there? With our Embroidery Legacy software, you can take your creativity to the next level. It's beginner-friendly, affordable, and it comes with full training and community support. And speaking of community, if you're part of our Inner Circle software members, you can check into your school account and you can download the artwork and do this design. Whether you're stitching for fun or building a small embroidery business, EL software gives you the freedom to create any embroidery design you can imagine. So if you're ready to unlock your creativity, check it out and start bringing your embroidery ideas to life today.